The Beyoncé quote, "People don't make albums anymore," is used a lot when we talk about the music industry. And for a reason. Hi, I'm Jenni, and I love music as many of us do, but I am tired. I am tired of my favorite artists announcing albums, and they end up releasing 20-minute projects. Some examples from this year: Saint Levant and Tinashe both releasing 8-track albums. They announced them as albums and then had 8 tracks on them. Tinashe's album Quantum Baby is still not out, but it will have 8 tracks. Eliana released her first album and it was 9 tracks. And stupidly, I suppose, when I heard these artists announce that they would release an album, I expected projects with 10 songs or more, because I had assumed that's kind of the standard for album releases. And Saint Levant's Data and Eliana's Voletto, they are really great projects and I really enjoy their music. The runtime for Saint Levant's Data is 20 minutes and 17 seconds, and for Eliana's Voletto, it's 23 minutes and 27 seconds. To me, that does not sound like an album. What is an EP and what is an album and how do they differ? Well, apparently an EP is a longer project that has the maximum of 6 songs and has the runtime of maximum of 30 minutes. And then album is longer than that. So if we think of Saint Levant's Data and Eliana's Voletto, in one standard, they are albums. Both of them have over 6 tracks, but in another standard, they kind of aren't because the runtime is 20 minutes. You know, I love a good EP. I think an EP is a great way for an artist to introduce themselves, a way for them to start their career, to show like, okay, this is who I am through a few tracks. But when something is advertised as an album, I don't think 20 minutes is adequate to that expectation of what an album is, to me at least. To me, it should be at least over a half an hour, maybe around a half an hour, and preferably over 10 tracks. That's kind of the expectation I have always had with albums. And I am kind of worried that now with these 8-track albums, maybe it's changing. Okay, maybe I'm not being fair. You know, one of the biggest pop albums of all time, albums period, is Michael Jackson's Thriller. It only has 9 tracks, but the difference is that the runtime is 42 minutes and 21 seconds, so that is well over a full album length, and the songs are long and fuller. So it doesn't feel like I'm listening to a short project, even at 9 tracks. I want to talk more in detail about Voletto by Eliana because it's truly one of my favorite projects of the year. Eliana's Voletto, it flows really beautifully and it does feel like one cohesive story. Even though it's 23 minutes, you still kind of get this full story. But while listening to it, when finishing it, it does feel a bit like, oh, okay, we're at the end already. If it had maybe 10 songs, just one song more, maybe it wouldn't feel that way as well. I do want to say that while the album has songs that are less than 2 minutes long, while listening to the project throughout, from track 1 to track 9, it doesn't feel like I'm listening to short songs since they flow very beautifully together. But my favorite track on the album is Sad in Bali, which is 4 minutes and 29 seconds long. I think that explains really well why I love longer albums and longer songs so much, because like I said in my 2 minutes and 22 seconds singles video, when you have a longer runtime, you have more time and space to explore different aspects of music, how you can present a song. You can combine elements that you wouldn't normally because there is more time and space to experiment. In Sad in Bali, there is beautiful piano melody. There is an EDM drop which really feels deeply in my soul. There's poetic lyrics and emotive vocals from Eliana. And because the runtime is 4 minutes and 29 seconds, it's a cohesive, beautiful story in one track. And that's why I prefer longer songs. And again, I really love Boleto, and I think at 23 minutes it does tell a cohesive story. But if it had a 1 track more, or if the under 2-minute songs were 2.5 minutes, what could have been? Now, every album that an artist releases, it doesn't have to be a magnum opus, define culture, reinvent themselves as an artist. It doesn't always have to be like a monumental release, of course not. But when it comes to cohesion, when it comes to fullness of musical releases, I think it's necessary that if you are releasing an album, it should have a decent runtime, in my opinion. And Boleto is amazing, but I can't just even imagine what could have been. Okay, I admit, sometimes artists release albums that have more than 10 tracks, but in reality they have included several standalone singles that were not meant maybe specifically for an album or are features for other artists. An example of this that I can think of is Shakira's El Dorado and her latest album La Mujer Ya No Lo Ran. Listen, before you even begin, I love Shakira. My first ever album that I owned was Laundry Service. So do not come for me. I love her. Okay? So let's focus on her latest release. So La Mujer Ya No Lo Ran has 8 new tracks back to back, from track 1 to track 8, completely new. And then from track 9 to track 16, this is the singles that Shakira released from 2022 to 2023. Then there's also a different version of Punteria, the 17th track. I understand why Shakira wanted to include these singles on her album. One, they have a lot of streams, a lot. So I understand why she wanted those on her album. They are a huge part of Shakira's musical journey and life journey. They discuss things that she had gone through at the time and are part of the theme of the album and the story overall. So I get why they were included. I just wish they had been included or placed differently on the track list, like between the new songs. So it would have felt more like a cohesive story in a way. When you get to Ultima, track 8, it feels like, okay, that's the story. I feel like it has ended. This is what Shakira wanted to share. And then Te Felicito starts playing. It's like, oh, okay, we're back into it. Zane Lowe, in his interview with Shakira, actually said that it feels like the tracks are kind of backwards. That you get the kind of the conclusion first, but then after comes the journey, the beginning, and so on. So I feel like the single releases that I would have included on La Mujer Ya No Lo Ran would have been Sessions, obviously, Te Felicito and Acrostico, because I feel like those would have beautifully added to the 8 new tracks. And again, I'm just happy that Shakira released a new album after 7 years of waiting. And again, this is just a little thing that I've been thinking about, okay? No hate, all love, okay? So yeah, that has to be included when we think of album and album length. Like, okay, what does the tracklist say? How is the story presented, of course? As a listener, I do have to say that show albums make me sad. I don't know if it's because the labels tell artists that no one's gonna sit through a 30-minute album anymore. I don't know if it's because there's no budget to work on longer releases, or if it's something that artists genuinely want. But short releases, just like short songs, are nothing new, of course. And of course, there have still been longer projects released this year. I mean, Cowboy Carter by Beyonce is 1 hour and 18 minutes long. If an artist feels like that they can present a message and a vision in 20 minutes, then sure, of course, so be it. So back to the Beyonce quote I shared in the beginning. She said that 10 years ago, and it's still more relevant to this day. But of course, artists still release albums. But like I said in my 2 minutes and 22 second singles video, when I finish listening to a short album, it very much feels like, oh, is that it? Really? It already ended? Oh, that's unfortunate. And I just can't help but wonder, is this what artists really want? Truly. Like, do they want short singles, short albums, songs only for TikTok, songs that are like a minute long and have a catchy hook that go viral? Is that genuinely what artists want? Because as a listener, I definitely don't. As fans, we can't really do much other than like champion artists and encourage them to release albums, but more importantly, albums that are longer than 20 minutes. And if they want to release an EP, of course, that's fine as well. And again, I want to emphasize, maybe the artist feels like, okay, I've said my piece, I've said my truth in 20 minutes, and that's fine too, but I just don't want it to become the norm. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts. Do you enjoy short albums? Do you prefer longer albums? Do you listen to EPs? What do you think of them? I hope I see you in the next one. Bye!